This is a little preparation for your test. A mixture of good sections of questions from weeks 1, 2, and 3. First of all, this question you're supposed to simplify, get it down to one number. Starting on the top, I see an addition, I see a squared, and I see a multiplication. So BEDMAS would tell me to do my exponents first. So 8 plus negative 5 squared is negative 5 times negative 5, which is 25. And then 6 times 2, you would do that next because order of operations say multiplication before division, so that would be plus 12. All over on the bottom, you've got a bracket. 5 take away 8 would be negative 3. So 6 times a negative 3 on the bottom. The whole top, 8 and 12 is 20, plus 25 is 45. On the bottom you'd have minus 18. So you can use your calculator to reduce this, or you can do it longhand, but the bottom line is 9 goes into each of them. Or sorry, 9 goes into each of them. 5 times and negative 2 times. I would never leave a negative on the bottom of the fraction, so your best answer would be either negative 5 over 2 or negative in the middle, negative 5 over 2 right in the middle. So you can just use your calculator, use your fraction reduce button, and don't accept this, 2.5. We do not use we don't use mixed numbers in algebra. Okay, next question. You're asked to evaluate. Now the values of x and y are given. So the first thing you should do is write down what you would have. X is negative 2 minus the value of y. Everywhere there's a letter, substitute the value in. You should probably use brackets for each number to help yourself out. So in the first bit, the x squared has to be done first. Negative 2 times negative 2 is a 4. So 4 times 2 is going to give you 8. 4 squared is 16, so minus 16. And negative 2 times a negative 4, negative 2 times positive 4 is going to give you a negative 8. And a plus and a minus is a minus. So you're going to get 8 take away 16 take away negative 8, which is a 0. No, it's not. Or see, it's minus 16. So you're going to get negative 16. Okay. Substitute. If you try to do that all in one step in your calculator, it might work. It really depends on how your calculator interprets brackets and negative signs. So be a good time to figure out what your calculator can do and can't do. So this question is dividing with exponents. There are rules. So you can divide the coefficients. 63 divided by 9 is going to give you a 7. When you divide exponents, you subtract. Then when you divide letters, you subtract your exponents. So you're going to end up with 8 take away 7. And the 1, you don't need the 1, but I'll put it there. And n, 11 take away 8 is going to give you 3. So your answer will probably look like 7mn cubed. And that will be your final answer for that one. Notice the same question but slightly different numbers. 63 divided by 9 is still going to give you a 7. The rule says you subtract your exponents when you're dividing. So this one here, if I show you the steps, it would be 8 take away negative 7. And it would be 8 take away 11. So it's going to be 7, and then it's going to be m. 8 minus a minus 7 is going to be 8 plus 7. So m to the 15, n to the negative 3. Quite often on the test it'll say no negative exponents. So if you remember, we take any negative exponents and bring them to the bottom of the fraction and convert the exponent to a positive so that it no longer has a negative. So 7m to the 5th. The only thing that moves down here is the n. It's over n cubed. And that's that one. Definitely have one of these types of questions on any test with simple questions. You may want to bring a highlighter to your test. I suggest you pause it for a second and do it and then come back. Hopefully you remembered that the minus sign in front of the second bracket is really a -1. The first set of brackets are useless. All they do there is make it look pretty. They can be removed without any changes. The second bracket, the minus sign is going to change all the signs. So -5 x squared y minus 2 xy squared, and then a plus x cubed. If that had been a number outside of there, like a 2 or a 7 or whatever, we would have multiplied everything through by that coefficient as well. And the first bracket, let's rewrite it. 2x cubed plus 8x squared y minus 6xy squared. So now you're looking for like terms. Like terms have exactly the same exponents over exactly the same letters. So the x cubed terms, you've got x squared y's, and you've got xy squareds. Be sure to keep the sign with the numbers. So I have to put these together. 2x cubed plus 1x cubed is 3x cubed. Now I'll put together the x squared y's, these ones. And 8 take away 5 is a 3. So it's a plus 3 because it's 8 take away 5. So plus 3 x squared y. And then last but not least, you've got your xy squared. You've got a -6 and a -2. So together that's going to give you -8 x y squared. The question comes down to 3 different terms. None of these terms are alike anymore, so you cannot go any further. You can only add exactly the same letters to exactly the same letters. When you add them, remember, the letters don't change. All that you do is group together the coefficients. So the -6 take away 2 became a -8, but the letters didn't change, and so on. Okay, this question, simple instruction would be to simplify. So the hint I've been giving you all along is when you have a set of double brackets, work from your inside out. So on the inside I see this. 10 minus m cannot be simplified, but the -3 can be brought across the bracket. So -3 times 10 is going to give you -30. And a -3 times a -1m is going to give you -3m. You've got an 8m squared already in that square bracket, and a -7m in the front. If you look at what's left, none of these terms inside of here are like. A squared m, a regular m, and a constant of 30 cannot be grouped together. So nothing you can do here except to expand what we call the distributive law, bring the 7 and the minus sign in the m, multiply it through by every term. So you're going to get -56. When you multiply exponents, remember, your base, you got to add your exponents. So there's a 1 outside of here. You should put the 1 to help your brain. You're going to get m to the third for the first one. -7 times a -30 is going to give you a +210, and then m to the 1, or just an m. And then -7m times a -3m is going to give you a +21m squared. In total, 2m's. Again, no common like terms here. It might be in a different order on a test. It might list them from highest to lowest. Say -56m cubed plus 21m squared plus 200 and... I screwed up. Shit balls. Up here, I didn't see that. Minus 3 times a minus 1 should have been a plus, which means that the next line, multiplied by minus 7 through, it should have been a minus 7 times a plus, minus 21. So sorry about that, which means this one should have been a minus 21 plus 210m. My apologies if that was confusing. So I lost it. It's common error, and that's where you guys tend to make the mistakes too. So as you can see, it's easy enough to do. A negative times a negative should have become a positive. Okay. This question. This question is pretty easy, an easy way to get some marks. But again, sometimes people go wrong on something stupid, something careless. I'm going to suggest put your ones over every letter that doesn't have a 1 or a number. Give it something. Now when you multiply through, multiply the coefficients, then you have to add your exponents. So a negative 10 times a negative 5 is going to give you a 50. An A and an A is going to give you A squared. And B, when you add them all up, 7 and 4 is 11. That's the first term. Take your negative 10, multiply it by the positive 11 is going to give you a minus 110. How many A's in total? 1 outside, 2 inside, so A to the 3rd, B to the 7th. Again, you're adding your exponents. And you're going to multiply the coefficients. A minus 10 times a minus 5 is going to give you plus 50. Grand total of A to the 2, B to the 7. If you look at all these letters, might look similar, but none of them are exactly the same. So the consequences are, balls, I screwed up again. That should have been, anybody see it? Okay, anybody yelling at me? That 8 should have, that 7 should have been an 8. Because 4 and 4 is 8, if I do better math. Did I screw anything else up, I wonder? I think that looks okay now. Okay, this question is quite challenging and dirty, so let's be careful. 2 sets of brackets. Work your way from the inside outside. The most common error in this question would be that somebody might not recognize this 6y must get multiplied through the bracket before anything else. You cannot add these 3y's and 6y's together because the 6y is multiplied by the bracket. So we cannot add them. Although they are like terms, the 6y is not free to be added. You got to first clear the bracket. So let's clear the bracket. 6y times y is 6y squared. And 6y times a minus 2 is minus a 12y. And of course the 3y is still there. Square bracket. Now inside this square bracket we do have 2 like terms that could be added together. So I'm going to do that. 3y minus 12y is going to be minus 9y. And the 6y squared has no like terms to gather it together with, so it's going to remain. And those 2 terms are inside of a bracket, and they are multiplied by a minus 4. Let's bring it through. So minus 4, bring down the first term, 2y squared. Minus 4 times a minus 9y, minus and a minus is a plus, so 36y, and then minus 4 times a plus 6 is minus 24, and it's going to be a y squared. Now there are 2 like terms, so one more step is necessary. 2 take away 24 is minus 22, y squared, plus 36y. And that one is done. So go back up and look when you have a bunch of different brackets. Start in the inside bracket and work your way towards the outside brackets. You distribute the letters across. Use great caution and be very careful. Go step by step. Now this is the question that's the beginning of week 3, solving equations. First thing I want you to see, there's only one kind of letter in the whole question. There's an equal sign. When you're asked to solve, that means, what is the value of x? So you have to clear all your brackets, clear all your fractions, do whatever. So let's start. Negative 3x. This minus 8 gets multiplied through, so minus 8 times an x is a minus 8x. Minus 8 times a 2 is going to be minus 16. On the right-hand side, negative 5 times a 2x is minus 10x. And a negative 5 times a plus 5 is going to be a minus 25. Now the rule is, remember the rules, letters on one side, numbers on the other. I'm going to bring the negative 10x over here, and the 16 that's minus to the right. So I'm going to be left with, maybe you want to do this part in your head, I'll do it in steps. Negative 3x, take away at 8x, plus 10x when it comes over. The sign changes from a minus to a plus. On the right hand side, there's a minus 25 already there. Bring the 16 over, changes from a minus to a plus. So now you have letters on one side, numbers on the other. Now you have to just work with your coefficients. Negative 3, take away 8 is minus 11, and minus 11 plus 10 is minus 1x. On the right hand side, negative 25 plus 16 is going to be a minus 9. When you're asked to solve, you want to get the x by itself. So you're going to divide both sides here by negative 1 to clear the negative 1. So you're going to get x is going to equal, let me see here, negative 9 divided by negative 1 is going to be a positive 9. And that's the solution. You can go back and substitute the 9 in if you want to and prove that the left side equals the right side. But the answer is 9. This next question has a fraction. Doesn't make it hard. Nothing you can do on the left. There are no like terms. You've got a variable term and a constant term. On the right hand side, you can multiply a half by 6x and get 3x, because 1/2 times 6 is 3. Multiply a half times minus 4, and that'll give you your minus 2. So now the fraction's gone. Now the rules, letters on one side, numbers on the other side. You're going to get 8x minus 3x. Bring the 3x over, it changes. There's a minus 2 on the right that's already there, and bring the minus 5 over. Bring the 5 over and change it to a minus. This is going to give you 5x on the left and a minus 7 on the right. Then your job is to get rid of the 5. So you divide by 5, and you're going to get an answer of negative 7 over 5. Is a fractional answer acceptable? Yes. Do they happen a lot? Doesn't sometimes. Accept them. There probably won't be a whole lot of those on your test because you might have a heart attack, but it's possible they could be an answer, which is a fraction. You could prove it, go back and plug it in, do 8 times negative 7 over 5 plus 5 and get that answer, and do 6 times negative 7 over 5 minus 4 and multiply that by half and see if the left side equals the right side. If the left side equals the right side, then you know the negative 7 over 5 is correct. If you had extra time at the end of a test and you want to double check it, you could check it. But don't check it if you haven't got a whole lot of extra time, right? That's an extra time kind of thing. Okay. This particular one has got decimals, but it doesn't change the method. You need to clear your brackets. So negative 0.03y. Now you got to do 0.12 times 2,000. So crack open the calculator. 0.12 times 2,000 is 240. There's no letters. 0.12 times a minus y is going to be minus 0.12y, and that's going to equal minus 0.35y. You have one letter, y's. Bring all your y terms to one side. Bring all your constants to the other side. So you're going to end up with, you're going to move. You've got minus 0.03y minus 0.12y. Bring the other one over, minus 0.35y. And that's going to equal, when you bring a 240 over, it changes to a minus 240. So now you pick up the old calculator and you plug it all in. Negative 0.03 minus 0.12 minus 0.35 is going to be minus 0.50 or 0.5y equals negative 240. You want to get y by itself. Divide by the coefficient. It happens to be a negative. Divide both sides by the negative 0.5. Use your calculator. It's going to give you positive 480, which you could go back and plug in everywhere there's a y, put that number in, and see if the left side equals the right side, but only, again, if you have time. This one here, I'm putting a star beside. Not hard, but you will throw away perfectly good points on a test if you don't know the special cases. So clear the bracket. 2 times x is 2x plus 10 minus 2x for the first and minus 10 for the second. Letters on one side, numbers on the other. So I'll do it step by step by step. 15 that was over there. Bring over the plus 10, make it minus. Bring over the minus 10, make it plus. You're going to get 0x equals 15. Now you can go one step further, or you can go right straight to the conclusion. If you go one step further, you could divide both sides by 0. On your calculator, 15 divided by 0 is going to give you an error, and that's because if you go back to this line and you say to yourself, what value for x could I substitute in when I multiply that number by a 0, I get 15, and it's impossible. So in math, we say that there is no solution to this question. There is no value for x that could make this equation correct. So on a cheat sheet, and you should know that you are allowed one legal cue card that I have on my desk. You can get one this week. Double-sided for the entire semester. You can bring it to your tests and your exam. Maybe even quizzes if you negotiate nicely. But that one cue card is all you're allowed to have. I have to sign it. And you can erase old stuff. You have to add new stuff. Maybe you're going to keep a little section for algebra, keep a section for geometry, keep a section for trig. But what I'm saying is, I would put down, if you get 0x equals some number, like this, that's an example of a no solution. I'm going to add one more to the same slide and see if you can anticipate my next question. What if we'd had 2x plus 10 minus 2x minus 10 equals 0? And you ended up with 2x minus 2x equals minus 10 plus 10. And you got 0x equals 0. That's another special case that I would put on my study sheet So the question becomes, what number can you substitute into the equation for x? When you multiply it by a 0, you get a 0. And that could be any number. 15 times 0 equals 0. Minus 45 times 0 equals 0. 1/2 times 0 equals 0. Negative 32 over 79 times 0 equals 0. So, in math we say that is an all real numbers is the answer. So on my study sheet, I'm going to put that. 0x equals 0. And I'd have an all real numbers. Basically, if all the letters disappear and all the numbers disappear, then the answer is all real numbers. Those two things should be on one corner of your cheat sheet so that you don't forget that during the test. And last but not least, one more example. How about this sucker? 2 ways you can approach this. Cheat with your calculator or use fraction skills. I know you're going to cheat, but I'm going to pretend that you won't. If I make them both into fractions over 15, just because it's good practice, that would become, so 5 is in 15 3 times, so 2 times 3 gives you 6 15s, minus 1/3, 15 5 times, so 5 15ths x. If you do that way, or if you use your calculator, if you type in 2 over 5 minus 1 over 3, you're going to get 1/15. Which way you do it, it doesn't matter. You want to solve for x. So you have to get rid of the coefficient, which is 1/15. If you divide both sides by 1/15, you're going to get an answer of what is 2 divided by 1/15, or 2 times 15 over 1, or an answer of 30. Go back and plug it in. 30 times 2 over 5 minus 30 times 1 over 3. Will that equal 2? And if it does, you know the answer is correct. Don't forget that you can get a question quite often where the answer is actually equal to 0. Let's just say you did a whole bunch of math, and the very last line in your question said 5x equals, and you had no numbers left. You had nothing. 5x equals 0. And this is not a no solution question. This is not an all real numbers question, because the answer, you take each side and divide it by 5, what you get is an answer of a plain old 0. And don't forget that a 0 answer is a number, right? 0 is a number. On a number line, it happens to be between 0. 0 is between -1 and 1. That's a valid number. So again, on my study sheet, if I was listening to somebody's wisdom, I would write down, if I had a number in front of the x equals a 0, that answer is 0. That's a real number. Well, shitballs. That's not a real number, it's a real number. That is going to screw you over, isn't it? Oh, I need a drink. 0 is a number. If you get a 0, write it down. Bottom line, sermon is over. Good luck on your test. Don't forget that cheat sheet. If you want to use one, come and get one. I will sign it, and you can use it for the test. Good luck. Please do some practice on the review exercises. My job is done. Now you have to do the work. Thank you.